After World War II, two superpowers emerged, the United States and the Soviet Union. Once allies, they quickly became rivals, divided by their opposing visions: capitalism versus communism. This clash of ideas split the world in two, with an invisible iron curtain dividing East and West. The Cold War wasn't fought with armies, but with words, threats, and influence. Each side built alliances and amassed powerful weapons, but direct conflict was avoided. Suspicion and fear fueled a global standoff that would last for decades. The world watched, anxious as these two giants competed for dominance. The stakes were nothing less than the future of the planet. The Cold War had begun, a peculiar conflict fought in shadows and silence. Each side tried to prove its way of life was superior, seeking allies and power. The threat of open war loomed, but both sides knew the cost would be catastrophic. So the world held its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. The silent conflict had dawned. The Cold War rivalry touched every part of life. The arms race saw both sides amass thousands of nuclear weapons, creating a balance of terror called mutually assured destruction. The competition reached space, with the Soviets launching Sputnik and the Americans landing on the moon. Beyond science and weapons, the superpowers battled for influence worldwide, turning local conflicts into global showdowns. Proxy wars erupted as each side backed allies in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Espionage became a way of life. Spies, secret missions, and coded messages filled the shadows. The CIA and KGB waged a hidden war, gathering secrets and sabotaging each other's plans. The Cold War was everywhere, on Earth, in space, and in the minds of millions. It was a contest of power, technology, and ideology, shaping the world for generations. The rivalry was relentless, and the stakes were always high. The Cold War's silence was shattered by moments of crisis. In 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis brought the world to the brink of nuclear war. Soviet missiles in Cuba, American demands for their removal, 13 days of tension that could have ended in disaster. Secret negotiations averted catastrophe, but the fear lingered. The Vietnam War showed how the Cold War could turn deadly. North and South Vietnam became battlegrounds for the superpowers, with devastating consequences. The war divided nations and cost millions of lives. Protests erupted at home, questioning the purpose of distant conflicts. These flashpoints revealed the dangers of a world split by ideology. The threat of destruction was real, and the scars would last for generations. The Cold War's shadow was long and dark. For decades, people lived under the shadow of nuclear fear. Yet life continued, families grew, dreams persisted even as superpowers played their dangerous game. In the late 1980s, change swept the Soviet Union. The Berlin Wall fell in 1989, signaling the collapse of the old order. By 1991, the Soviet Union dissolved, ending the Cold War. The world was transformed, the US stood as the sole superpower, and old rivalries faded. New challenges emerged, but the threat of global nuclear war receded. The legacy of the Cold War remains in alliances, in technology, and in the lessons learned. The Cold War showed how fear can divide, but also how hope and resilience can unite. Its history reminds us to seek understanding, not suspicion. The world is more complex now, but the lessons of the Cold War endure. We must remember, so we never repeat its mistakes.